Very good. So I'm going to read about Mr. Loko this evening. As we can see on the screen, Olorunishola Saheed Olaleko, popularly called Sir Loko, is an individual who has, through his passion for excellence and sincere desire to bequeath knowledge to everyone he comes across. I'm a testimony to that. Led numerous young professionals to the epoch of their academics and holistic professional career pursuit with his professional mentoring skills. Sir Loko holds a BSc in accounting from the University of Ilorin. He also holds an executive MBA from Quantic School of Business and Technology, Washington, and highly respected diploma in IFRS of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA. He is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and also a member of the Information System Audit and Control Association, through which he holds the highly respected Certified Information System Auditor, CISA certificate. Mr. Loko is also an advanced financial modeler, certified by the Institute, Canada. He also recently passed the final exam of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, USA, and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, UK. Sir Loko, a multiple ICANN prize winner, has over the years lectured financial accounting, business law, financial reporting, corporate reporting, audit, and financial management at different levels of the exam of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and also the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA, producing numerous and wonderful chartered accountant and prize winner. Mr. Loko is a Christian, not just by words, but it is very, very reflective in his actions and inactions. A firm believer of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, Sir Loko boasts over a decade of experience in finance and audit, holding key roles in the oil and gas industry, manufacturing industry, and financial services industries. His years of experience, majorly during his stay in one of the Big Four professionals, and truckloads of achievement are only replica of an all-round individual who stops at nothing in his quest for excellence, one truly deserving to be termed the specimen youth of excellence. His ingenuity, sleight, and adroitness haven't gone unnoticed, haven't been found worthy and deserving of the prestigious and highly coveted In Tune with Deloitte Awards, recognition for his peerless and unrivaled show of initiative and innovativeness. Mr. Loko is married and is married with beautiful kids. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege that we have in our midst Mr. Loko. Mr. Loko, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Good evening,
thank you for joining
everyone.
us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know whether I should go ahead now. You want me to take over now?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
All right. So, permit me to just show my face briefly. So, because a lot of people actually used to think, especially when my profile is read, that maybe I'm one old man. Abiko, I'm actually a young boy. All right. So, some of the things I'm going to be sharing with us today, we're also all still learning, right? Despite the fact that I might be sharing some experience of persons that God has helped me to help over the years, right? Some of the experience I'm going to be sharing will be my personal experience. And to the glory of God, maybe because of the kind of places I've actually been privileged to actually work. So once again, good evening, everyone. So people actually call me Saluko, not Mr. Loco. So, but that's fine. That's fine. Whatever works, actually. So, so feel free to also call me Saluko, and we're also going to give some time for questions and answers. So feel free. I also do not take this for granted. I want to thank the hosts and for this privilege. It's always very good to speak with people of like minds, and then to share one or two things that most likely will be able to help us, especially in this industry. Right. I also always want to tell people that nobody, especially in this kind of industry where things change almost every now and then, is Mr. Know-it-all. So there's always an advantage where we can actually just rub minds, and then we'll see one or two things to learn from each other. Okay, so also apologies for however my face or my voice is actually looking this evening. I've been in classes since morning. All right, so thank you once again for having me. I don't know whether the host will permit me to share my screen so that I can possibly share a little presentation that I have with me.
Hello, sir. Please check your audio. There is an underground voice. Okay.
Okay, my own. Hello, is it better now?
Yes, sir, it's better now.
All right, great
Yes,
stuff.
sir. It's better. It's better now.
Thank you very much. So I'm sharing my screen right away. Let me know if we can see it. Can we see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
All right, so this is just a little stuff that I've put together. I've also once, sometimes ago, shared it in another platform before. So I just try to, we'll try to speak around it. And then, so I believe that we'll most likely want to share more, especially when we get to questions and answers. So let's be free to put down our questions as to whatever we feel like we may actually want us to actually discuss, so that we can learn together. So I've titled this Navigating the Finance Profession, just as the host has also suggested. So like it has been mentioned, my name is Olorunle Saheed Olaleko, right? Don't really mind those certifications. Okay, so I'm a man of certifications to a very large extent. So some of those things we're also going to be sharing with us as we go. All right, please, just to confirm again, can we hear me clearly? Am I very audible?
Yes, sir, we can.
Great stuff. All right, so we're going to be looking at a little, very short outline, because I think it will be more of we speaking so much. I think we are going to be learning more from our questions and answers. So why? The reason is because a lot of times in this industry, because of how wide, right, the profession is, you will find out that by the time you select 10 upcoming guys in the industry to get and you put them on the same table, their thought process, their needs may actually differ from one another. And that's the reason why I think that most of our questions most likely will be specific to individuals. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the finance profession. Where are we? What is changing? Recent disruptions, drivers of change, what you should be doing as a professional and an upcoming professional. And then we are going to then look at questions and answers. Okay, so by the way, another thing that was also not mentioned in my profile is that I'm actually a director in a consulting business where we also do professional accounting tutorials. We call it Pass It Now Associates. That's the training, but the registered name of the business is Spin Consultancy Services, right? Okay, so yeah, I always tell people that in there we act as a family, and that is why we always believe that our doors are always open. So you can always reach out if you have concerns, if you have issues, on anything that deals with the profession, and you then possibly need some professional advice. A lot of times, very free of charge. Okay, so the finance profession, where are we? For some of us that may not know, I always tell people that accounting is not finance. Accounting, financial reporting is just a little part of finance, right? It's just a little part. There are a lot of other things that finance professionals can do, especially when we've gotten into an age, a generation where you actually find out that people that are becoming the CFOs of today are people that even did not have their background in core accounting, right? In core accounting, and they are doing fantastic really well. And the reason is not far-fetched. It's because top management needs someone that can drive the business. Top management is not just interested in someone that is just interested in cooking the numbers, in just putting numbers together, right? And not helping the business. So now you find out that executive management are looking for guys that will serve as finance business partners, more of a partner to the business. Do you understand? So that's why I put some of these things together. So you, in the finance profession, you see people that are strictly focused on audit and assurance. And that's even another wide stuff, right? You see people in internal audit, you see people talking about external audits, right? You talk about people in advisory functions, right? Financial advisory and all of that. And so there's a whole lot that one can actually speak about when we talk about audit and assurance. I've been privileged to work in one of the big professional services firms, Deloitte to be precise. I was in Deloitte for about 4 years. Okay, so to very large extent, tell you that audits and assurance, if it's something that you have a flair for, is something that can mold you as a professional, especially in this finance industry. But it's not just that. I've seen people that all their life, what they've been doing is corporate finance and investments. And to be sincere with you, those are the wealthy guys in the profession. So if you actually love money, you love funds, you love taking risk, right? You can actually be thinking about start looking out for more, checking about what are the things you need to learn. And we are going to be talking about some of those things. If you actually have a flair, you have a flair for not just numbers, but for money, for funds, management, you have a flair for investment, you have a flair for corporate finance, generally project management, project finance, then that's another segment of finance that you can actually look out for. Another key one that is very, very popular, especially among upcoming professionals in this industry, is the accounting and reporting, right? And to be sincere with you, one of the reasons is not why it's always like that is because I always tell people that in every organization, you always find an accountant, even if it's a church, it's a school, it's a mosque, right? There's always an accountant somewhere. And most times what that accountant does, a lot of times is even bookkeeping, not even accounting. Okay, so bookkeeping is just a little part of that accounting and reporting, right? So this is one arm of finance that is very key for management in terms of we need to see our historical numbers so that we can then know how to make informed decisions about those numbers, right? These are the guys that not just directors of management that will be able to trust, but also the shareholders that puts in all their money and their all their sweat, let me put it that way, into the business. Okay, so accounting and reporting is also another very important part that is also a little bit wide. So in this accounting and reporting, you see us have guys here in the manufacturing circle. You'll be saying, people say, all I do is just being a manager or a cost accountant, right? And if you ask that kind of person about IFRS or International Financial Reporting Standards, he may actually just be looking at you because that's not what he's focused upon. That's not what he's been doing, right? Okay, so at all of these fields, all of these study fields of the profession, very, very wide, very, very wide. And so that's why I always tell people that you also need to know what you have flair for. You also need to be able to ask yourself that, do I really enjoy this stuff I'm doing? Do I need something better? Right? I've seen guys come to me and say, Saloko, I've been in this bank. My pay is good. And it's been 5, 6, 7 years. I've just been here. But sincerely, it's like I'm not adding any value to myself. It's like I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. It's becoming very monotonous, and it's just taking away my life, so to speak. That's been paraphrased, anyways. So you can decide and ask yourself questions and say, what else can I do? That it won't be as though I've lost so many years. And I always tell people that we should not be afraid. That's one thing in this our profession. A lot of people are actually very scared to make that change. A lot of people are scared to want to take a step, right? People want to just be laid back. Let me just continue to earn this pay, right? Until a lot of times you find out that people sometimes may even be phased out from that role in which they are doing. So we have to start thinking. We have to start looking at, especially the way this profession is going. We are going to see the kind of disruptions that has happened in this industry, in the field, in the last few years, and it's going to continue, maybe more aggressively in the next few years. So we also have what we call strategic planning and performance management. Okay, so this is one part of finance that's also very critical, very, very important, right? One of the reasons why, just like I said, I'm actually a certification person. So just last year, I wrote the exams of AICPA, that's American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and the CIMA, that's Chartered Institute of Management Accountants in the UK. And the main reason for me taking that exam was because I actually wanted something that would just blow up my mind a little bit about strategy, right? About top management, decision making, about being at that top, making those tough decisions, despite the fact that you are saying the numbers and it's looking like all is good, all is well, right? But then you have to make some tough decisions as a business, because you can't just stay in one place. You want to look at what's it about risk management and all of that. So, strategic planning and performance management is very important, where you're looking at how a lot of techniques, balance scorecard, right? You're looking at a lot of techniques. You're looking at SWOT analysis. You're looking at PESTO. A lot of things will actually come into play there. And some of those guys in there are less of numbers. Numbers, a lot of times, do not really play out for them. So it's about what they do with those numbers. It's about how they are able to work around ratios that have been calculated using the financial statement prepared by the accountant and reporters, right? Okay, so another very important part of finance is governance, risk, and ethics. So I want us to know that the profession is changing very, very fast, especially globally. And I may not even cover all the areas here, but I'm just mentioning to us the key areas that most likely we are still going to be having them function, even with all the disruptions in the next few years. So governance, risk, and ethics is also very important, where you have guys that have just been employed as quality control, of the whole finance department, or sometimes even of the internal audit department, or sometimes being a liaison officer between the internal audits and then the external auditors. So a lot of times you find out that we are not just comfortable with what the internal auditors are just doing, right? We want to take it a little bit further and have a proper governance framework for organization. So we have we could actually decide, especially when you go to large conglomerates, And then you have guys that are more of what they just do is risk management. In this risk management, you look at financial risk a lot of times. You even look at non-financial risk. And then ethical issues. And this has been a major issue. And that this will continue, right? You always have directors that are ready to do what is not ethical in terms of just be able to make up with whatever targets they've been set for them or they set for themselves. So all of that comes into play for someone that is in governance, risk, and ethics. And then we also have tax management. And that's also very, very, especially when we have a kind of profession where, in the tax space, where things are also very changing, where things are changing very, very fast, right? Just about everybody keeps on talking about the Petroleum Industry Act, the PIA, right? So, and that has brought a lot of. I think we need to mute that person.
Mute this person.
All right. Okay, so like I was saying, so a lot of disruptions can come around as a result of fiscal policies, as a result of the tax environment, right? In Nigeria now, we keep on having Finance Act of this year, Finance Act of next year, Finance Act of 2019, of 2020, of 2021, of 2022. So as a tax guy, you have to be on top of your game. You have to make sure that you know what has changed, you know what is changing, you know how to help your organization, you know how to help your clients. And so that's a very, very important part of the profession. So you see a lot of guys, all they focus on is just tax management, right? But one thing about all of these areas is that a lot of times they are interconnected. You need to be able to understand at least a little part of what every of these guys do, right? Especially when you have that kind of a goal of becoming a CFO, or you have that kind of goal of becoming a top finance business partner. So all of that is very, very important. And then I put all of this together and say, you can work in any of these of the key sectors of the economy, right? I put all of them in 3 buckets, just as professional services firms, you always just place them. So you put all your banks, all your insurance companies, all those kind of professional financial services, you put them in the financial services sector, right? And so you see people that have been working as financial reporters in Zenith Bank. If that kind of person would go to a Dangote Cement, it might struggle for a little time. It's just the same way someone that is also working in a Nestle wants to go to a GTB to a very large extent. If he does not know his onions, he may actually find it very difficult to be fine. And the reason is not far-fetched. The format of presentation, the requirement of the standards, the technicalities of the environment, right, of the nature of transactions are far apart. Okay, and so that's very important. That's why when you are learning things, I always tell people that, especially when I'm in classes, that when you are learning things, you should be able to ask yourself, how does this thing play out in practice? What importance does this thing have on whatever I am doing? And I've always asked myself this, to be sincere with you. I remember I started my ICANN journey, that was in 2006, thereabouts, with the accounting technician scheme, right? And that was after I failed JAMB twice. So you can imagine that kind of agony where that my target was just to get to OAU, get to your BSc first class, and then, the top of class. That's been the goal, the targets, and everything you have in mind. And then JAMB was just jambing themselves. Then someone just mentioned to me about ICANN, and I'm like, can you even talk about professional exams without being a graduate? So information is very key. Was very key for me from the beginning. But one thing I did for myself that God helped me really well was that everything I'm learning, I ask questions as to how does this thing actually help in practice? And any of those things that I found out that are very important practically, I hold them more to heart. Yeah, so I'm saying that I will still read all I need to read. I will still read all the textbooks that I need to read to pass. But those ones that I know from what I've asked people about the issues they have in practice, I put more heart to those ones. I make sure that if they wake me up, that's about maybe 18, 19, 17 years afterwards, rather, and they ask me those things I learned back then, even without anyone mentioning them to me over the years, right? I can always remember. And that's the kind of mindset I think we should have in terms of, it's not just about writing exams, it's not just about working in places. You must be able to know, a lot of people, all their work, they believe that my own is just to pay, I'm working in payables. My own is just to pay vendors. How they prepare the financial statement does not concern him. We should not be like that, especially when we now think that we actually want to stay long. We actually, financial accounting reporting is something we actually want to do. Anything that has to do with accounting, with reporting, is what we actually want to do. Then we should be able to we should have that kind of mindset that I really want to understand how they do this kind of thing. If I was on the other side, maybe I was a banker, right? How will this thing play out? So that's another thing I think really helped me when I was switching from, so I started my career with Stanbic IBTC Bank. Although I did not stay very long, I was in internal audits in the bank for about 6 months thereabouts. Although I also did some part of finance in the pension business. But switching to a consulting firm was not that tough because I've not really stayed that long in the bank. But when I was leaving Deloitte after 4 years to a large business like Dangote, and then I was in charge of preparing the consolidated financial statements of the entire group, and then all of that. You understand the kind of headache that you might then have. But because of the fact that even while I was in audits, I've always also asked myself that what would have happened if I was on the other side as being an auditee. So I ask those kind of questions, and I really always get answers for them. A lot of times I ask colleagues, a lot of times I ask those clients what they do, because a lot of times they actually know those things more than the auditor, right? So when you are humble enough to be able to ask necessary questions, and you are not just being pompous about it, you find out that you tend to actually grow better, and then be very successful in this industry. So that's very important. So whatever is happening in the financial services, you are able to also ask yourself that how is it different from the manufacturing sector, right? So if I find myself working in a Microsoft today, right, and what they do is totally different from what a Nestle will do. One is focused on business or on goods, while the other is more of services sometimes. Okay, so when you have those kind of things, then you kind of ask yourself questions around what are the things that are common, what are the things that are different, and then you'll be able to then do well across all the sectors. Maybe another thing that also be driving me in that respect is the fact that I also have the goal of not just being a consultant in a consulting business like what we have currently, but also going back into academics much later, right? So by God's grace, I've been able to work in all of these sectors. I'm currently working with an indigenous but growing oil and gas business, right? And so to a very large extent, I understand now what happens in the financial services to an extent, the manufacturing sector to a very large extent, and now in the energy and resources bit. And that's the way we should be. Nobody can be somewhere forever. That's why I always tell people, there is always that time that you may need to change. If you don't change them, they may change you. All right. So there are other related professions. Like I always tell people that a lot of times accountants don't just work. We don't work just alone. right? Sometimes we have to rely on some other things that are done by other guys, like actuarial valuations now. But as a professional accountant, as sound as you might be, you would actually find it very difficult. You'll find it very tough to actually do your for people that are actually conversant with IFRSs. So there's a standard we call IS 19, employee benefits. So you may find it very difficult to be able to get some numbers that you actually need for that reporting if you don't have an actuarial valuer. So the same thing also, you can have people in the academics. Academias are very, the academia are they're very important in our industry because the majority of those that are setting our standards are actually in the academic, right? So very important. So you cannot do without all these professors, well, because they have more time for research, they have more time to write, they have more time to read, and all of that. And another very important that is going on trending now, that especially if you like IT, that you can go into, and to a very large extent, your investments will not go sour. Your investment will not be wasted. It's data analysis, right? So you have a lot of analytical techniques now, right? Power BI, Tableau, all of that you can learn. And then you can also, on the long run, you can even say to yourself that to a very large extent, I know something that even if I want to stand on my own today, I should not find it difficult. The human resource management. I'm very sure a lot of us will agree that human resource management today has gone beyond what we used to know as HR. I'm very, very sure. So human resource today has gone to talent transformation. You see people in HR, even the kind of charisma, you want to even blow you away. You even think maybe you are already talking with the MD of the company, you know, and all of that, or maybe one of the top directors. And that is what has happened, right? Some set of guys have actually just decided to say, no, we are not just about just recruitment of employees. It's not just about when they want to sack people, they should call upon us. No, we actually want to be business partners to the organization. That's why you see them a lot of times now. They will tell you that we're actually recruiting this person as an HR business partner. So this guy, apart from just even understanding the basic HR issues, he also understands how payroll affects the financials. He understands how payroll management is done. He understands how he's able to advise top management. All of that. Then we also have quantitative analysis and forensics. And that's another very important thing because we are in a world of fraud. Let me put it that way. We are in a world where people actually want to get what they have not worked for, right? So we always have those kind of things. And sometimes when you don't have enough the systems in place, that fraud will happen. The person that committed the fraud may even attack your system of you that wanted to actually get the fraudster. So we've gotten to a level where everybody needs to be on top of their game in this industry, and we have many others that we can also think about professions that has one thing or the other to do when it has to do with finance. What is changing? There have been a lot of disruptions, and that's why everyone needs to have at the back of their minds that they need to upskill. You cannot continue to tell us that the same thing you know 5 years ago, 6 years ago, is the same thing you still know by now. Something somewhere is wrong, right? You need to be aware to a very large extent that things are changing. And then we need to also be able to ensure that we are flexible enough that change will not sweep us away. Okay. So I like to put it in this small diagram. The major reason is because now the entire world is like a global village. So you see people working from Nigeria for a Canadian office, for a Canadian business, right? And all of that. Okay, so all of those things that were read about me in my profile. I'm still in Nigeria. I've not left the shores of this country. So that's just by the way, right? So I'm saying that you find your code actually also be here, and then you are very important, or you understand how globalization works, right? And that's very, very important for all of us. We need to be able to understand how globalization is affecting the kind of things we do. How that you cannot just prepare your financials and say, this is my own financials here. One day, you could actually get a South African investor that feels like investing in your business. And then it is that day you now start saying, okay, let me go and look for an auditor. Like, let me check all this, my financial statement to look compliant. So globalization has changed a lot of things, right? It has brought about a lot of automations, a lot of things that normally individuals, employees will be required to do them. Now we can get software, you can get robotics to actually do them, right? And you actually have to change. I always tell people one thing, that it is not artificial intelligence, machine learning under this automation that is going to take your job. Our jobs. It is the people that knows how to use these things that will take our, right? So that is the way we should be thinking. You should be that wants to use a better job. It sometimes ago, if you want to do bank, a Dangote statement, because of the volume of transactions and all of that. But with an SAP, you find out that your bank unit in the of an eye. All of that are the kind of issues you should start thinking about, especially if you want to last in this profession. I'm just speaking to the little issues I believe that some of us should be conversant with. The law of all the professions, part of a segment of the professions I've actually mentioned up there, auditors are now using software, even for their audits, even in terms of documentation, right? Whereby the audit partner may even be in the UK, right? And then the manager is in another country, things like that. But it's a global village now. Everybody should be able to sit up and say, it's not compulsory for me to sit down with this person on the same table before we can actually work as a team. So it is not artificial intelligence or machine learning that is going to take our jobs, but rather those that knows how to use them. And a lot of other things are also changing in terms of how we do business, right? Because of a lot of issues that are going on around the world in terms of high level of inflation, a lot of issues in our country. So you found out that a lot of organizations cannot even keep up with their overheads. So you found out that they are already talking to you that is either you take a pay cut or you leave. And the reason is not far-fetched. They actually found out that particular thing you can do or you are doing, we can add it to another person's job and the person will still be fine. So we have to start thinking. We have to sit up. We have to make sure that we are not too laid back. We have to ask ourselves questions that this thing I'm doing, is it sustainable? And that's another very important thing that is going on around the world, sustainability. Even for businesses, they need to start doing sustainability reporting. Businesses are collapsing by the day. Drivers of change. And I said one of the key things that is driving change, and all of us we have to be people that are flexible to changes, right? Regulation and governance. There's been increased regulation and stronger governance, and this will have the greatest impact on our professionals and professionals in the coming years. You now have a lot of things that you need to start looking at, that you need to start thinking about in any part of the profession that you find yourself. Increased regulation every time. Stronger governance. Why? Because of the rate of collapse of businesses. All members of different professions will be affected directly or indirectly, although to varying degrees. Another very important thing that is driving change in this age is the spread of digital technologies and their impact on business. as it will transform the practice of accounting and competence that professionals in different industries require. Like I mentioned to you, accounting is just a little part of finance, but it's very important. A lot of the jobs that finance guys do will require the input of accounting professionals. Why? Because that is the person that is dealing with historicals. And a lot of times you need these historicals to be able to make forecast, to be able to think about what will happen in the future. So smart software and system will most likely replace manual work, such as bookkeeping, automate complex and multifaceted processes, such as financial close. So businesses want to close their financials first at the last week of January. That's why being the financial year end of 31st of December. As humans, that's very difficult. By the time you look at the fact that they are not using software for a lot of things, they find it out that it's actually very doable. And then support the trends towards outsourcing some services and repatriating others. The businesses they're also changing. Businesses are changing. You find out that business owners may decide to sell off a particular business just to go into another thing. Some years back, Aliko Dangote decided to sell off the flour business. It wasn't just making sense. Now, our guys fully focused on cement. Yeah, very, very important. And also the refinery business. So the business needs are also evolving. So as business evolves, so should the expectations of professionals. They will need the competency, skills, and outlook to enable them to meet more requests for comprehensive and forward-looking information and more frequent ad hoc reporting from ever more stakeholders. You actually find out that enough organizations that used to just rely on quarterly reports before, they now almost need every week reports. And then that's a little adding some stress to employees. But if you have actually understood what you are doing, you can actually find out that some of the things you do, you can actually make use of technology to get them better and make a lot of times faster. This request will increase as the barriers erode between functional silos, internal and external reporting, financial and non-financial performance. Professionals will also be expected to make professional judgments, and that has been very, very critical in recent times. You don't just take things at face value. You need to ask questions. We need to put on our thinking man's filter. And in doing so, to exercise the highest standards of integrity, independence, and professional skepticism. What should you be doing as a professional? We need to have a mindset change. And I always tell everyone that is as young as myself, we need to have a mindset change. We cannot continue to do the same thing over the years, right? Just collecting salary or looking for just to get salary and then be fine, right? Without upskilling, without trying to improve ourselves. You have to give people the reasons why they would not want to let you go. And in all the places where I've worked, that has always been the case, right? It will always be more like a fight to pleading at the time when I want to leave. You get it? So we should have that kind of mindset change. If what I'm doing, although I also used to still give people some level of advice, if you are not getting value where you are, then you should be getting money, and that money should be real money, right? So if you are not getting value and you are also not getting money, then maybe it is time to leave. They are not adding value to you in terms of your professional development, in terms of your personal development. You are just the one giving value to that business. Then, and you are not getting enough money, I think you should leave. Professionals need to change their mindset and then develop high computing skills. And that's very important. We have to ask ourselves that what is going on in this thing I'm doing in the world. We need to be open-minded. Professionals need to be open-minded. We need to be ready to learn and relearn. A lot of times when I still train people, I still teach people that are even chartered accountants, and then I made them to understand that a lot of things that you think you even know or learned very well before you qualified, some of those things have changed. It will interest people that are accountants to know that definition of assets to that little level and definition of liability has changed in just the recent years from what they used to know. So we must be ready at every point in time to be open-minded. So you go for an interview and I ask you, or the interview asks you a simple question, I was an asset, but what you are giving to the guy, even with high level of confidence, is that old definition. Something is wrong somewhere. We have to be open-minded. We have to be ready to unlearn. You have to be ready to learn. You have to be asking yourself that, okay, what is happening in the industry? What is happening in this sector? I should be one of the first to know. I should be eager to want to know about it. And it's actually not always not very easy because it requires a lot of work a lot of times, right? But we can put that work in it. A lot of times, some people, as someone once said that everything is hard. Whether you want to continue to do what you are doing and not change, that one self is hard. And whether you also want to upscale, whether you actually want to get better in what you do, that one too is also hard. So you have to choose your own art. You have to choose the art that pays you. So we also have to improve our professional quotients, intellect, creativity, emotional intelligence. And to be sincere with you, that's one of the reasons why I took that exam that I said I did last year. I also wanted to know more about strategy. I also wanted to also refresh my mind, my brain about some things that I think I actually knew. And it not just come on a platter of gold. It required a lot of work, but on the long run, it paid off. Intellect, creativity, you have to ask yourself. So I've been in this industry for about 10 years, over 10 years now. And I can tell you for free that by as of this year, if you are in this industry and you don't know anything about financial modeling, then you maybe they will reject you when it gets to when it matters sometimes. And that's true. A lot of things are changing. People have actually seen that there are some things that we don't need accountant to do for us, right? But there are some things they cannot do without accountants to do for them. And those are the kind of things we should be, or professionals we should be looking at as finance professionals. Well, what is going on in this field that I think I need to know about? Emotional intelligence, vision, experience, mastery of the digital world, and technical skills. We also have to keep abreast of updates, just like I've been saying. We need to be up to date on new standards, including updates and regulations. Things are changing almost every time, especially in such an economy that is very fragile. And then I wanted to round it up here. That is very important for us. Whatever religion that you think you believe in, it is more important, or most importantly, for us to know our God. So I'll give us time, a lot of time to actually ask questions. And I believe that maybe I'll be able to then share more things through the question and answers. So thank you everyone for being patient with me with all my stories. Thank you very much. I hope we have been able to get one of those things to take in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saloko. It was very, very insightful section. And in fact, while the section was going on, I've just been thinking on a lot of things, a lot of things in the profession and about myself also, So it is time for question and answers. Mr. Saloko, like he said, we should be calling him Saloko and not Mr. Loko. So Saloko is ready to take questions. Please, if you have questions, just raise up your hand. And once I see your hand, I'm going to call you. This question can be from what we've talked about this evening. It can be from your work, from anything that you just feel that you need to have clarity about. You need somebody to put you on the right track, or there is something that is not clear to you about the profession and you just want clarity. Please, you can bring your questions and then Saloko will do justice to it. So I can see the hands of Toyosi. Toyosi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Good evening.
All right, good evening. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir, the moderator. Mr. Lekon, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Please, I have two questions to ask. First, he talks about being open-minded as a professional, as a finance professional, that we should be open to new developments and upskilling. And he also talks about emotional intelligence. And in this digital world that we are, we need to be versatile about what is going on around us. So my question now is this: being an accountant, and not just an ordinary accountant, but you want to specialize in reporting. That's the area you actually want to pick as the area of specialization. You want to be an authority in that area. And then when the moderator was reading your profile, and I discovered that you have ACCA diploma in ACCA and some other certifications like that, would you have advised someone in that regards to also pursue that? Or is there any other thing that someone that wants to venture into reporting, that want to specialize into reporting, should do? That's the first question. Second question is the issue of changing of our mindset. We have seen a situation um,
I can no longer hear him. Is it just me?
Yes, we can't hear him again. Toyosi, are you there?
Okay, maybe he has issues with his network.
Yeah, it could be. Okay, let's I think you might be trying to join back.
Yeah. So maybe we can take other questions.
Yes, we can
while
take
he's away, so that I will not miss out on whatever I want to say concerning what he has asked.
Yes. So I have some written questions here. Some set of people that they informed me earlier that they wouldn't be able to join the meeting, but they have questions that they would like Saloko to address. So I have them written here. So I will just read about the ones that are very, very important. So the first question I have here from Priscilla. So let me just give a little background about Priscilla. She works in a bank currently, and she works in the credit unit, and she's an accountant. So our concern is that, you know, a lot of these bankers, they mostly stay in a particular position for a very long time. And she has gotten to the point where she is now thinking about entering into, accounting space. Like, she just want to do accounting functions. She's tired of credit. And sometimes, credit also has a little bit of accounting, but not really deep in that aspect. So our question is, please, sir, how can someone migrate from being a credit officer to being an accountant, knowing fully well that my years of experience has been on credit, and going for job interviews for an accounting position? Most of the time, questions that you'll be asked are questions relating to accounting. How can someone migrate in that aspect? That is our question.
Okay, so I think that's a very brilliant question, actually. And I would like to use the experience of one of my friends or colleagues that also faced the same issue about a year ago, right? And I'm going to tell Priscilla the same thing I told him. And to the glory of God, that worked. And the answer is not far-fetched. What is on your mind, you need to go for it, right? And then you need to ask yourself, what are the things I need to do? And that's where the work comes into play. So the first thing I asked him, so this person has also been in operations. I'm talking about someone that's been in banking operations for about 8 years, thereabouts. But then he's very tired. I mean, very tired. Not that the money is not coming in, but it's not just making sense, right? So what I advise him to do is already even a chartered accountant. He was already qualified at that particular point in time. But he knows that there are a lot of things when it comes to financial accounting, because he has not been doing it, which I actually think that Priscilla too will be in the same condition. He will actually not be able to answer those questions when he goes for an interview and all of that. So one thing I asked this person to do is to make use of his current bank. So I told him to go ahead and just ask people in finance in his current bank. So people that they used to call FinCon, Financial Control. And then he went up to them, started asking questions. Is there anything that will make you guys take me? And all of that. But before then, I had already told him anyways, that with his ICANN, one of the things that can actually make people to see that maybe this answer will also help the first questionnaire is that he could consider to write the ACCA diploma in IFRS. And the reason is not far-fetched. When it comes to reporting, that's a very good certification that will not just show that you know it, you will know it, but not just show that you know it, but it will also give confidence to the prospective employer that you are going to add value to the business or to that department. And so after asking them questions, he asked questions about people in the department, found out that if he's able to actually do that, it will actually be an hot cake for them. He will actually get into their midst without so much stress. So while receiving classes for the diploma in IFRS, he made sure that all the loose ends, all the things that he has forgotten, all the things that he does not know before when it comes to financial reporting, he asked questions as though he wanted to go for an interview. And that is part of upskilling, right? He asks questions, he brings them home. And why did I even ask him to start from his bank? The reason is not far-fetched. It will pay that bank to employ someone like him that understand their way of life, they understand their process, they understand their tradition as a bank, they understand their culture. They're now telling them that with this thing that I know about our bank, I know the business process from beginning to the end to end. And then I'm now telling you that I'm now qualified to do financial reporting. The person I'm talking about now is working already in that FinCon and is enjoying it. So it's a case of ready for that change, right? And don't be too scared. Sometimes, a lot of times, I also know someone that was also working in a bank. He was also a former colleague. And then he even decided to take pay cuts. And then he moved to one of the professionals.
Sorry, Saloko, for cutting you short. Please, can you make me the host?
Okay, that's fine. Where will I do that now? Okay. Can I see
the participants?
Yeah, I'm trying to first admit everybody here. Then I will try to make you a host.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So I'm making Elite's Accounting Professional Services host.
Yes.
I've done that now.
All right, thank you.
So I don't know whether you understand what I just said. And I hope that actually answers so the person I was trying to talk to you about, I had to move from the bank. I think he got qualified. I think he was already in the bank and all of that. Before he got qualified, he was in a bank for a long time. I mean, a very long time. But he then decided to take a pay cut, more like he's starting a career all over in Deloitte, right? And to be sincere with you, I think he left maybe as an audit senior. His first job was in a big company in the manufacturing business. He's no longer in this country now. And anyone that meets him now, it will be as though he actually got back all those years that seemed as though he was lost. So he was not lost because he was still able to apply those things that he has learned in the bank, even while in audit. And so that's the same thing I tell people, right? Whatever you think you have actually learned in credit units, Priscilla, you are actually still going to make use of it. All you just then need to do is to say, oh, I want to upscale. And if it is not coming forth in your current bank, all you just need to do is to upscale. Ask yourself questions. If I want to get into, and you can also always reach out to me personally. I can tell you the kind of things you should start reading, the kind of things you should start looking at that will help you, that if you go for any interview, for any finance role, even in the manufacturing concern, you should not have problems. So I hope that answers it. Yeah.
Yes, perfectly. Thank you so much, Saloko, for that answer. I also have some few questions here. So I wouldn't, if there are some questions here, so if you've answered some of those questions that are related, I will not bother myself asking such a question. So I have a question here from Tunde that says, how do you know the relevant qualification as a professional? How do you know the relevant qualification to go for as a professional? Because in this we have a lot of certifications now. There is ACCA, there is CIMA, there is CPA. There are just so many certifications, and a lot of times professionals are confused as to which of these certifications should I pursue. So the question from Tunde is that, how do you know the precise certification to go for as a finance professional?
Okay, so I think that's also a very, very interesting question, especially in these times that we now live in, right? I always tell people that bandwagon is not good. So just trying to follow everybody. Today they are saying that everybody's doing CITN. I also go follow. They are saying everybody's doing ICANN today. Let me also go and do it. Despite the fact that that you are also actually don't like anything about accounting, or what you actually prefer more is about investments. So I'm also going to give us another example of someone that studied mechanical engineering. I think he had the first class in mechanical engineering. And then because his father was actually an accountant, he registered him immediately after school for the CFA exam. CFA is Certified Financial Analyst. And I always tell people that should be one of the most technical finance professional courses in the world, right? And what was interesting? 3 stages. This guy cleared everything. Pam, pam, pam. Finish everything up. He cleared everything. He started having some flair. Why? Because he loved numbers normally. So those things were coming to him natural. But then his first job, he found himself in an audit firm. And to be sincere with you, the first 6 months, this guy was struggling with everything. I mean, with everything. It was as though he was a dullard. I had to tell him, you need to ask yourself, is this what I really want to do? And then someone, the courage, started looking for job as though he has not seen job before. Started looking for job aggressively. Why? Because he was able to get right the professional exam that actually works for him, with this level of thinking, with what he likes to see, with what he likes to do. He's a top guy now in one of the investment firms. So the same thing applies to anyone that is thinking about what professional exam should I write. You should be able to ask yourself questions. What do you really like to do? What do I really like to do? So I also tell people one thing, that you also need to also look at your current state, your current level. When I mean current level now, I mean, will you not struggle to even pay your fees? Pay your fees for exams. So if you know that finance or money will be a problem, then you should consider exams that are domiciled in Nigeria, if you are still in Nigeria. Yes, it's a form of investment. I can even go and borrow to do. You just put unnecessary pressure on yourself, right? So I just advise people at every point in time that they should calm down. 2 general exams. ICANN is a general accounting or finance exam. When I mean general now, you do tax in there, you do audit there, you do financial management there, you do financial reporting there, you do almost everything in ICANN. And the same thing that goes for ACCA. To a large extent, the same thing goes for CIMA. It's just that CIMA then focuses at some point in time on management accounting, strategy, and finance. Okay, so if you need a general accounting exam, and that's the first thing I always advise people to try and do, right? Then consider ICANN on ACCA. If money is going to be a problem, then go and do it ICANN JJ. Because what exchange rate is speaking now is not base. So you don't want to start something that you then get frustrated in between. That's another thing entirely. But then you can start with ICANN, and by the time you start making money, you then want to invest more in yourself. You can consider doing some ACCA exams. So for example, the ACCA Diploma in IFRS exam that I was talking about is a one-time exam for anyone that likes financial reporting. So I think Toyosi, that should answer your question, right? So for anyone that actually loves financial reporting, I always advise them, especially if they are already qualified as a chartered accountant, whether through ACCA or through ICANN or through CIMA, that they should consider to write the Diploma in IFRS accounts, IFRS exam. It builds your level of confidence. That's why you also have a lot of work to do. It's not just about that. It's also about trying to want to know how things are done practically, right? So that's also that's a lot of times very, very important for people. So I just tell people that the first thing you should be thinking about, especially if, for example, I'm just someone that just finished college, finished university, and I've done a particular course, maybe not even very related to accounting, but I'm now I've started to love finance, I've started to love accounting, and I want to see what I can do, right? So you can consider a general accounting exam, just to first have an understanding, basic knowledge of what the entire thing entails. But then you need to specialize at some point in time. If you want to do, so that diploma in IFRS I was talking about now, it says a one-time exam and does not have any annual subscription. So you pass the exam and that's all. So that's kind of other things you also need to consider. So if you do an ACCA or an ICANN, you continue to pay subscription, right? So if you don't have a job yet that's going to pay those bills, then you should only consider the kind of things that can give you like this. So someone likes audit so much, right? You love audits. That's why that maybe you have not gotten that audit job that you actually want. You are still working in a middle-sized audit firm or a small audit firm, but you actually want to do audits. Then you should consider writing like a CSI exam or like a CIA, right? Or even that diploma in IFRS, because if you are doing external audits, financial reporting is very critical for you. So these are the ways, and just like I mentioned at the beginning, that some of our questions may actually be specific to us. If you are still confused, you can reach out to me. So based on whatever questions I then ask you, I'll then be able to advise you further to say, okay, this is the exam that is best suited for you at this stage of your career. So I hope that is helpful.
Thank you very much, Saloko, for that wonderful answer. So please, I still have some couple of questions here, but I would like to take questions from those who are raising up our hand. If you have questions, please just raise up your hand and I'm going to call you. So Toyosi, I can see your hand before I call the next person. Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm so sorry. I lost the network the other time.
That's fine.
You've actually dealt with the first question, honestly. Because I am actually working as a receivable and payable officer. So I needed a future advantage in reporting because that's what I want to specialize on. So we've actually dealt with that. The second one is the fact that if you are doing one particular, and you talked about upskilling, and you say as a finance professional, even as an accountant, or anybody that wants to venture into finance, you must know financial modeling. But the issue now is that most of this financial modeling you are talking about, if you want to enroll, you will see that it's actually a crazy amount of money for you to enroll. The money is huge. Sometimes you have to pay in foreign currencies, and you know what
Right.
the exchange is talking about. So in that regards, now you want even data analysis, you have to pay. And I know that for you to acquire knowledge, of course, you have to seek it and then you have to give it whatsoever it
I
takes.
agree. Yeah.
I agree with that. But in that regards, that you are not financially buoyant, you are trying to enroll in one exams, and then you are still trying to, and then the source of income is not coming up. So
Yeah.
what advice can you give? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So for that financial modeling thing, so before I also did, so I did the advanced financial modeling exam of the Financial Modeling Institute in Canada, like I think that was last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, I think that was 2 years ago. Right. And before that, I was already doing models. So that's the way you can actually help yourself, especially when you don't have money. So that exam that I said that I wrote, it was my company that paid for it too. So before they could pay for it, myself, I would have put in that kind of plenty money inside that exam, because that money is actually plenty, because I actually know that I can actually do models. But you see, there are some things you learn when you go through those kind of exams. You actually find out that there are standards that govern things, that better ways of doing what you think you have been doing, right? So you find out that if it's just for you to learn for now. So what I mean is that for now, you should have at least understanding, have basic knowledge about what it entails. Do you understand? And they are, to be sincere with you, there are free videos online. There are free videos on YouTube. There are free videos on LinkedIn, on Coursera, and all of that. Do you understand? That you can actually just look at, that we on Udemy rather, and will give you basic knowledge. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it will interest you to know that it will also help you in reporting. Right? So another thing I used to tell people, that if you work in receivables and payables, you should try and also find a way to be close to people that are already working in reporting where you work. So even if you are not preparing with them, do you get? But have an understanding of what they are trying to do. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. Be someone that you on your own, you can review, you can check the management accountants of all these PLCs when they are released. Understand the flow, understand the formats, so that when you have to prepare by yourself at some point in time, you find out that the problem will have reduced, because everything still boils down to basic accounting principles. Others will just be formats, and by then you are already conversant with the formatting. And I always tell people that, see, some of these things you can actually teach yourself, can train yourself. You can give yourself work to do. Do you understand? And to be sincere with you, when I see people that are actually eager to learn things, I'm ready to show them this is sites will be helpful to you. This particular site will help you, right? So you can always reach out, and then I will let you know that, okay, if you start trying to build up this particular thing, I may not be able to share any format with you, sir. A lot of times I like people to design their own Excel by themselves. And there was a particular person I told the same thing about say, was it 4 or 5 months thereabouts? And he got a particular job role, and he has not done manual account before in his entire life. It was disturbing me. I sent him a manual accounting formats, the manual account format. I said, no, you are the one that is going to design the one that you can walk around with. When he says that as though you are stuck, then reach out. It makes you to understand it better. It makes you to be able to own that Excel file, because it's just a flow. It's a case of me just having ledgers flowing into trial balance flowing into that manual account, and so the notes then to the statements. So it's not as difficult sometimes as they say, especially when you are not working in a complex environment where transactions will be complex. So I don't know whether that answers your question to yours.
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you.
Great stuff.
Thank you very much, Saloko, for that. So I have another peculiar question here. Or do we have anybody from the audience that have questions before I go ahead with what I have here? Do you have anybody that has questions to ask before I continue with some of the questions I have here?
You have a question.
Yes,
Okay, all right, you can go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, facilitator. Good evening, Niyi. I hope you guys are doing well. Okay. My question is this: as the host, the speaker, I would like to dive into CFA exam from by the time it's the second half of this year. That's my goal. The moment I'm done with my CITN exam, because I really want to move into the finance world, but then I want to have a good grasp of tax. I've worked in auditing firm, but I want to move into finance fully. Can you help me with any sites or material I will read to be able to ace my CFA exams? Because this is what I want from myself in the next half of this year. That would be my question.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that's another thing maybe I did not mention as I was talking. So another thing that's very important for us as professionals is that we need to have network of professionals that we can always reach out to when we are stuck, when we need advice, when we need to get better at what we are doing, when we need to speak, when we need to talk, right? So it's very important. So Joel, if you can reach out to me, I'm going to drop my WhatsApp number at the end of the call, and possibly you can always reach out to me too on LinkedIn. So it's very important. I have someone that I can refer you to, G-Gates, when it comes to CFA exams. He will not charge you anything. So it's just to show you the kind of things you can actually read. You know, it's always very good when someone that has actually written something, do you understand? Even if he has not yet finished it, he's trying to also show you, okay, this is how I started, these are the challenges I faced, these are the materials that were helpful, these are the ones that just wasted my time. So if you just reach out after this call, I believe that should be helpful. So because if I'm just sending you sites, those sites will just be general. It may not be specific to your needs, right? So I don't know whether that helps or that answers your question.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'll be awaiting your.
Yeah, I'll put my number on the chat box.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Saloko, for that. Toyosi, is your hand still up? Toyosi, kindly put down your hands if you are not answering questions so I can know. All right. So another thing I will also say, okay, so I have a question here. Let me quickly. The question is from a particular friend of mine. And his question is, my boss feels threatened by the quality of work delivery that I do. What do you advise? So let me elaborate on that question. Maybe for one reason or the other, the person is, preparing or doing certain tasks that the boss feels that, oh, this thing that this person is doing is actually good. And when people ask that who prepares this report, the accolades usually goes back to him, because most people know that this report is actually coming from him. And as a result of that, his boss feels threatened. And when your boss feels threatened by the quality of works that you do, it brings a lot of, intimidation from him, a lot of difficult situations. He just try to put you in a place where you are off balance and the likes. So his question is that, what do you advise him to do in such a situation?
Okay. So what will I do in that kind of situation is what I'm going to tell that person. It might work, a lot of times it might not work. It depends on, because so I don't know the nature of work he does. I don't know the kind of personality of that person, and also the kind of personality of the boss. But this, to a very large extent, will work in most scenarios or in most situations. And it is that you should start looking for another job, right? See, even when I always tell people that sometimes, even when you are not interested in leaving your current role, try and know your current worth, try and know your current value in the industry, in the markets. Apply for jobs now, even if not for fun. Go for interviews. You know, it's even when you don't need some jobs and you then apply for them, your level of confidence in interview will be rise, because you are not under pressure, but you just want to use it to test the waters. So if, by the way, the waters are actually then very good, so you can imagine if this person that is talking was then given a pay that's higher than what is currently earning, right? And maybe the same role. And then it comes to his organ that he just got an offer and is likely going to drop his resignation letter. Two things. Is that they start begging him, if it's that very important, right? And then they start talking to him. Okay, so what can we do to keep you? So I'm telling you something that has also worked for a friend of mine, right? That I also think that he took a step of faith. He used to be a lecturer in an ICANN lecture center, so that he actually started. And then he has been focusing on that even after school for a long time. He decided to just be doing that. Then at some point in time, a lot of things came up that required him that he needs to get a paid job, let me put it that way. And then he looked at it and said, how many years? I've lost a lot of ground and all of that. And I had to tell him that, you see, you just have to first take that first job. And I think he started collecting maybe like 120,000, 130,000. And those ones were using it because actually very smart and very good. We were using them like that. He would do receivables, he would do payables, he would pay accounts, he would do that. I said, don't worry, it's your learning period. So I think he spent like 1.5 years there. To be sincere with you now, I think this just maybe about 3 years or 4 years down the line, his net pay is already over $1 million. Let me just leave it like that. It's already over $1 million, and he has changed jobs like 3 to 4 times now. And it's a case of, so he has gotten another offer now that he's just using that offer to speak to his boss, because he noticed that they also did something that was not necessary, that was not reasonable at the point of they have this performance management, performance whatever they do at the end of every year, performance evaluation, and it was not making sense to him, the kind of feedback that they actually give to him. It was a case of it's more of a political thing. Okay, no wala. So he got another offer and then tabled it down. They are the ones begging him. They are the ones begging him. And you know, this kind of things actually shows your value. A lot of times we are too scared. We are always too scared that what if these people sack me? Also, you to be ready that if I can leave to any time. Nobody should be able to tie you down somewhere. Right? And don't be too scared that maybe there are no jobs out there. When you're a little bit aggressive about it, when you polish your CV, you package it well. When you have sent CVs, even the jobs that you think you are not going to take, you send the CVs. They are the ones telling you that, okay, what if we increase salary to this particular thing? We used to consider us on that. I'm not going to consider you because to begin with, I was not interested. You may see it as, okay, am I not wasting time? Right? You are the one that is just going to set a boundary. This is the time I'm no longer going to consider these guys again. It's not making sense anymore. So you have to make that decision. You cannot continue to keep working in a toxic environment, in a place where you are not appreciated, in a place where you feel like you are doing so much and so little is being seen. One day you just find out that you are kind of depressed, and you that used to have this kind of vibes around you, then you are losing it. So instead of getting to that level, why not move? That's my candid advice to that person. I hope it helps.
Thank you very much, Saloko, for that. I can see a question in the group chat that says, how can we deal with procrastination as as a professional? How can we deal with procrastination?
Yeah, so the answer to that is simple. Just do it. Be ready to fail even when you are not ready. So I'm saying that just do it. Right? Procrastination will always come. You always find out that the kind of things you're supposed to do last year, you are pushing to this year. Before you know it, you still push it to next year. But you just enter by fire by force. And to be sincere with you, also almost happened to me too when I wrote the CIMA exams last year. I had to move the exam a little bit forward. And the reason is because I was, at some point, I now started asking myself that who even send me this thing that I want to do. You understand? So, but that was procrastination speaking, right? Until I then decide that I don't already pay. Even if I continue to move, they will not pay me back this money. So I have to face it. So sometimes you have to face it. Even we should be prepared to even fail. That failure, sometimes could be the driver that will solve that procrastination. That thing that you actually intend to do, why not just start doing it? It may be small, but procrastination can affect anybody in this world. Anybody. It just requires a personal determination that will say, this thing, I need to get it done. And the more you push it, you find out that sometimes the more difficult it becomes to achieve. Not even if he has to do with professional exams. Sometimes, especially the way, if it's a foreign professional exam like the ACCA, the CIMA, all of these exams, CFA, CA, before you know it, the rate that they were paying last year, December, that CIMA that I was talking about now, I think maybe I paid about 525,000 or something, thereabouts. That was around August. And by the time it was the November exam, it was already double. So to write that same exam now, you're paying over $1 million. And it's just one paper, if you're already a chartered accountant. So you understand what that means? So the more you procrastinate, the more you should be telling yourself that, oh, this thing is going out of hand. This thing may not be done anymore. And that's the way that's the solution to it. You just have to personally determine that this thing I need to get it done.
Thank
and
you
if you
so
need
much.
ginger, you can also look for colleagues.
Thank you.
You can also look for colleagues that you know that these people, they can push you die. So you need to have people like that around. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So sorry, sir. Please, I think I need to add to that. When it comes to professional exam, I will advise that if you want to write any professional exam, just go and pay for the exam. By the time you pay for the exam, nobody will tell you that, Oga, my money
I agree.
don't go inside the exam where I got to
Exactly.
write. The
Yes,
morale
I
will
used to
surely
tell
come.
people, yeah, now you must shall do it anyhow. Yes, now that's the logic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Saloko. Sadiq, can you hear me? Sadiq,
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Thank you very much, Saloko. Thank you. It's been so insightful, and I can say that I have learned a lot. In fact, a lot. And in fact, as you were speaking, I've been trying to look at a way to just restructure my life. Yes, I must put it that way, because as an individual, I know that, okay, I still have a very long way to go. And I've made some sacrifices, and I'm still looking to actually develop myself more. Yes, as regards that procrastination, if we were not talking about the exam aspect now, for instance, I think Toyosi was talking about learning financial modeling, trying to prepare learning some things online, maybe probably upskilling yourself regarding maybe your Excel, Power BI, data analysis, and like that. And sometimes work can be very overwhelming, especially yes, maybe if you're in the auditing space for the first 6 months of the year, you know that even if you have time to even sleep, sir, you should be thanking God. So it can be somehow very overwhelming sometimes. So now, and still, I want to learn this data analytics. I want to do this financial modeling. I want to do all these things. And I want to manage this with my work. How do I actually try to dip it in? And also, secondly, okay, you've already answered that one. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Sadiq. You know that one thing that was just coming to my mind now. So this thing you are talking about, I'm also in it too. I also have things that I've kept, like, oh, I need to finish this course. I need to do this one. So one of the things that can also help you, just like we've also mentioned, is that instead of looking for those ones that are free, look for the one that is paid course. So if you're already certain that is what you want to do, go and look for the one that is paid course. They will not tell you that you should do it. Do you understand? They will not tell us. Do you get what I'm saying? So you have already paid for this thing. One thing your mind will be telling you, this money cannot go to waste. Even if not, you can imagine ourselves. What was just coming to me as we were just speaking is that yes, procrastination is very real for all of us, especially when you are in this profession where a lot of things are required of you. You know, to a large extent, you may not even remember yourself. You may not even remember whether you want to personally develop your life for yourself, right? But then you still find out that we have time to eat. We have time to still watch football most times, people like me.
That's true.
We have time to still do some basic things.
Absolutely.
Correct, right? So if we include some of these things as part of the basic, if it then becomes urgent and important to us too, that even if now, you see that same exam I was talking about, it became to a level that I even wanted to just leave the thing. To begin with, my company, I'll just tell and say this money that we then pay, because it's not just me they pay the money for. The other person has not written the exam till now, right? And so you can imagine what I'm trying to say. So even if I've also left it, it will just be there. Nobody will complain, to be sincere. But then I had to just take it upon myself, and I was happy that I actually was able to do it. And God then helped me that it was just a case of me just giving it like that. Sometimes it will be 30 minutes, 1 hour. Early in the morning, Baba, just quickly look at. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Get those kind of things. Why? Because I then took it upon myself that this thing has now become urgent and important. Right? So one of the things that was driving me as I went into that exam on that day, it was also a computer-based exam. The first 1 hour, I think I struggled a little bit. Right? But I kept telling myself that, you cannot now fail this exam. So to the glory of God, I have not failed, apart from that jam that I said I failed that time before I started I've not failed any exam since then. Right? So that alone was then driving me. That if you pass all of ICANN, I think CISA is another crazy exam that I wrote. And I wrote it at the point when I just left school. I wrote CISA, I think I wrote CISA in 2012. You know? You understand what I'm saying? So if I've written those kind of exams, an exam that is the pass mark is not 50%, you get it? It's like the pass mark is about 75% percentile thereabouts. So when you scale through those kind of orders, something will be telling you that if this is the next thing you are doing, then you need to give it the best. Do you understand? You not know that a lot of people are also watching you. That you are motivating. So when they now find out that this thing you just mess up, it could even demoralize somebody. Do you understand? So a lot of times, maybe that's the kind of things that also drives me. So I also have a lot of things that I've also packed. But then you should be able to ask yourself, what is urgent and important?
Yes, I understand.
Just like I told you, I've even thought about writing CFA, right? But then I weighed my options. It wasn't really like I really loved investments. Do you understand? I'm a financial reporting person. If you wake me up from sleep, you get there are some things about financial reporting that is always there. It comes to me natural. Do you get? So I was then able to sit down and say, okay, let me focus more on my strengths. And then let people know you for this thing that you know. Does that it make sense to you?
Exactly.
You get the logic. So that's just the way it is. there's no casting stone. It's not a case of, it's not even, it's a personal thing. Is to ask yourself, has this thing now become urgent and important for me? And I always beg people, they say you can be working in the place and then you find out that this thing is not going to be helping my mental capacity. It's going to be helping me professionally in terms of personal development. You may be looking for a better stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
And
You're
thank you
welcome.
so much, Saloko. And the last question I have here, I think you have answered it. It's more or less similar to what I have here. And you know, like just the issue of this procrastination, I think almost all finance professionals we are in that table because we just have a lot of things that we want to do. We have a lot of aspiration, a lot of goals, a lot of certifications, but at the same time, we are constrained with either work or busy with a whole lot. But just like you said, we need to identify what is important and what is not important. You know, sometimes some of the things we put in place, you know, like you said about, you know, putting a lot of free courses, you know, why not just go for things that, you know, that if you commit yourself to it, no matter how, you are going to find way, you know, because whatever you have passion for, whatever you love, and you've committed funds into it, you look for ways to make it happen, you know. So identifying what is important out of a lot of things that we've gathered for ourselves, and also identifying what is not important. You know, there are so many certifications out there, but which one is actually relevant to what you want to be in the next 5 years? Which one is relevant to that which you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? If you can put in these questions in place and answer them rightly, it will enable us to streamline, you know, our strengths. It will enable us to streamline what we pursue in the right direction. We will not just be running on things that we know that in the next 2 years, 3 years, we don't need it again. It's just like we have wasted our strength on those things. You know, so I don't have any questions here with me, and I don't think anybody from the audience has questions again to ask. I don't think so, because I can't see any hands here. And Saloko, thank you so much for your time. You know, it has been very, very insightful session. You know, I've been thinking about my life that I never even start. You know, you just look at yourself and say, I've not started. We have a long way to go. And you know, this section is very, very inspiring to me. For me personally, I've really learned a lot from being partaker of today's class. And I want to appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for your effortless service. Thank you for coming to impart knowledge on each and every one of us. And I also want to appreciate everyone who took out their time to be available for this class. I know that you've not wasted your 2 hours. It's been a time where you really appreciate the fact that you are a partaker of this training. And just like what Mr. Loko said, he has shared his LinkedIn profile on the group chat. You can definitely reach out to him. If you have any questions, you can chat him up on WhatsApp if you have any questions as regarding that. And also, thank you to the organizers of this training, that is Elite Accounting Professionals. Thank you for putting up this kind of training for young accountants, young finance professionals to benefit from. And to the organizers, to the one who has put up this training together, I say thank you so much. Thank you. So this is what this institute is all about. We do trainings regarding finance professions, and then the institute also do ICANN exams for young accountants who are preparing for ICANN examination. So if you have any need for that, feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to me. I think I've shared my WhatsApp number in the chat box, and I've also dropped a link where you can definitely reach out to anyone. So training like this will be coming up in the nearest future. I want to ask you guys to stay clear to Elite Accounting Professional Service. You can reach out to us on our LinkedIn page. You can reach out to us on our social media handles. Just search for Elite Accounting Professional Service. You are going to, reach out to us, and then you see more updates, more trainings coming up for the profession. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Mr. Loco. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Really
Thank you for having
your
me.
presence. In fact, it's
Thank
a
you so
privilege,
much.
sir, to have a whole CFO in our midst. Who are we, sir? Thank you so
I'm
much.
gentle, very humble.
We appreciate
Thank you
so
for having
much,
me.
sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you, sir,
cheers.
so much. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. So we have come to the end of this training. For those of us requesting for the videos, yes, the videos will be shared. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. Once we have it downloaded, it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So just search for Elite Accounting Professional Service on YouTube. You are going to see the video and you can watch it at your own leisure time. So thank you once again. Thank you, everybody. Let us enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.